So what is a colposcope? That is what we are here to learn. It's a diagnostic procedure which is performed to evaluate the abnormal cytology result from a screening PAPS, or we've already discussed whatever the indications of colposcope must be. So this is basically an instrument which works with the help of a very strong light. These days the LED light source are used, and we magnify the field to see the specific patterns in the epithelial layer, which is the superficial layer of the cervix, and the blood supply which is present in the ectocervix. So you also examine the vagina and the vulva in a low power stereoscopic microscope with a powerful light source. We diagnose and map out the lesions and then take biopsy. So that's a part of a colposcopy directed biopsy. So we should be able to map out the lesion and then take biopsy from that. When and how we should do the colposcopy. It is done if there is a positive screening test like VIA or villi positive, or epithelial cell abnormalities more than ESCAS is there in a cervical cytology, or if there is a co-test which is positive with a high risk HPV DNA or an ASCAS triage. The suspicious appearing cervix, even if you don't have a pap smear report available at that time, which is going to take time, you can straight away do a colposcopy if you have a colposcope available. If there is a postmenopausal bleeding with a suspicious cervix, we don't wait for the reports to come. We can straight away do a colposcopy. If a male partner has a penile cancer, then a sexual partner of that can also, we should do a colposcopy. Unexplained abnormal lower tract genital tract bleeding, persistent inflammatory or unsatisfactory pap smear is there. Even you've treated the inflammation and still the persistent inflammatory cells are there, especially if there are any high risk factor for development of CSFX. Then evaluation of a persistent abnormal discharge or a pruritus, you can do a colposcopy. If there is a subclinical HPV viral infection, these days DES is not used, but if there was a history of DES, then also it is indicated that you can do a colposcopy. If you've done a conservative management of intraepithelial neoplasia, whether you did a cryo or a leap, then you need to follow up the patient with a colposcopy. Then, if it's a diagnosed case of CS cervix, you look for the vaginal extension to rule out whether you will be able to do radiotherapy as a treatment, to look for the vaginal extensions, whether the upper one third is involved or lower two third is involved. For grading of the cervical cancer, you can do a colposcopy. Then a post treatment follow up of intraepithelial or a invasive carcinoma. Even in a post irradiation follow up, where the lesions might be missed just by naked eye, you can do a colposcopy. As I told you, it was developed by Dr. Henselman in 1925. But, however, due to the lack of correlation with the histological findings, it could not be used. Only after the discovery of pap smear that we were able to have the true value of the colposcope. So when we should not do it? Basically, there are no contraindications. We can do the looking part of it. But if you need to take a biopsy, obviously you will not take from an infected lesion. So there should not be any active infection at that time. So biopsy, excisional procedures, one should always look and see if there is no infection, then you subject them to the invasive part of the taking biopsy. So coming to the instrument, basically this was the older instrument which was initially used. Now we use the video colposcope. They have a eyepiece which have a diopter ring, then a green filter here, and then a magnifying glass. Then you look directly into it. There is no video attached to the eyepiece. Here a magnification changer are there, height adjustment are there, focus adjustments are there. This is the instrument that we use nowadays as a video colposcope. The vision should always be binocular. That is why the video colposcopes have a better vision, because the video can capture the whole of it. The very important thing to understand is the lens that we use is of a focal length of 30 centimeter. That means that one must keep the cervix and the colposcope head at a distance of 30 centimeter. If it becomes less or more, the vision gets blurred. So one should always be very careful that the distance between the cervix, not the vagina, not the vulva, the cervix and the colposcope should be at a distance of 30 centimeter. The head of the colposcope has a lot of screws here, which make it move sideways, upward, downward. That should be actually fixed. Once you have focused it, then all screws should be tied, and then you should not move it, because if it moves, it changes the vision. So this is attached to a camera, which then is used for documentation, attached to a video screen where you see it, record, you can record it, take pictures. So that is how it is done. The light which are there in the lens of this camera head are mostly the LED light. They also have a green filter which enhances the appearance of the blood vessels, which it takes care of the redness of the cervix and enhances the blood vessels to a darker color. So video colposcope also have a camera attached to it which relays the findings into the monitor, and a control panel is there. Then this has a autofocus, and which should actually ideally be at 25 to 30 centimeter from the cervical end. The monitor should be of a good LED television screen where the vision should be very clear, and a good quality monitor should be there. These video colposcope have, they are attached to the computer or a laptop or a screen, where a good software should be there which should have a reference images. The videos are there, you can store these videos, you can give the reporting in the software. Having a good software really comes handy, and you should always check the software. You should learn the how to make a report, how to print the thing beforehand only. The halogen lights are usually now not used. Now we use LED lights, which are actually have a larger life, white color. Halogens are yellow. So they are, but more less expensive. LED are more expensive. The magnification generally is present at the head here, where we can change with the with a push button. Zooms can be done, which can change from 4 to 40 mostly. But what we use generally is from 4 to 15. The availability is still 40, but generally beyond 15 is not required. The monitor is there, and a computerized storage system or a software is there. In the software, one must make sure that you are able to enter the data in the form of socio-demographic details, the clinical data, PAPS report, the biopsy sites, the colposcopy images are there. The image capture should be attached to the colposcope, where you are able to do it either with a foot pedal or at your hand. So you should be able to take the pictures and give them to the software at the screen. So there should one should also store the images as well as make the reports from the good software that you have, so that then you can re look through them and do a audit. The initially when you start, maybe you're not able to do so well, then later on after doing say 50 odd colposcopies, your reporting will improve, and then you can look back where you went wrong initially. The trolley that should be actually taken care of before starting the colposcopy per se. The colposcopy tray should be there, which should have a receptacle for acetic acid, Lugol's iodine. In case a biopsy is required or we are doing LEEP, we should have a local anesthesia syringes, endocervical forceps, the curette or punch biopsy forceps. This is how a trolley is laid, where everything is present, a formalin vessel, if you want to take a pap smear, the sticks which should be dipped and used with the acetic acid, the Lugol's iodine, the smear, and the biopsy forceps should be there in that. This is a Tischler biopsy forceps, or intra cervical speculum can also be used in case it's a type 3. These are the vaginal wall retractors, Mostly these are not required, but in case there is any difficulty, then it should be used like that. Mostly it is just a small cuscos and gauze pieces, two receptacle for putting the lugols as well as normal saline and an acetic acid, and a punch biopsy forceps. That is more than enough. In case the cuscos we are not able to see, we can put a condom catheter or a glove finger on it so that the lateral walls which come into the view, they can be separated. How do we prepare the acetic acid? It should be always freshly prepared by a glacial acetic acid. Take 5 ml and dilute it with 95 ml of distilled water
তার তো শান্তনু সেনের সাথে ফটো সেটা আমরা বের করে
and preferably use it the same day. We should not use the acetic acid which is left over from the previous day because it loses its potency. The Lugol's iodine can be prepared, but generally the solutions are available over the counter. You can buy it, but they have a shelf life of 1 month and they should be stored in a dark colored bottle and they can be used for multiple patients. But acetic acid should not be used the other day, it should be discarded. Here, potassium iodide 10 gram, iodine crystal 5 gram, then diluted to 100 ml, and this should be prepared and labeled and can be used for 1 month. But these are available over the market, so there is generally no need to prepare it.